Hello, and welcome to Fresh Blood, a podcast about killing it after 40, where we prove that new blood does not necessarily equal young blood. Here to discuss what it takes to have continued success through life, I'll be your host, Jolie Downs. With over 20 years of executive recruiting experience, I've learned how much we can grow and be inspired by other people's stories. I'm excited to share that with you here on Fresh Blood. Today, we are speaking with Christina Giachino. Christina changed her career and focus in her life's work after being diagnosed with breast cancer in 2006. She found recovery from her breast cancer treatment through physical therapy. Through that, she decided to make teaching exercise her career path in order to educate, encourage, and empower her clients to have power over their pain from injuries and poor posture. Christina taught Pilates in a physical therapy center for 14 years, and she currently owns her own Pilates studio located in Fair Oaks, California, and focuses on rehabilitation Pilates for her clients. I'm really excited to learn more. Christina, thank you for joining us on Fresh Blood. Please, could you tell us a little bit more about your story and getting to where you are today?
Well, thank you for having me. This is very exciting. Yeah, where I am today, it's been 15 years since the journey began. I was in a different career path and very stressed and not happy with what I was doing.
What were you doing?
I was in real estate development.
Okay.
And that was a family business. My family has been doing that for generations and just fell into that, which was not my passion. It was a great way to make money and to establish myself, but not a way to fulfill my soul and my passion that was within myself, which was more of nature of service. Everyone has their own nature, and I'm more of a service orientated person.
It fills the soul.
Yeah, just really trying to reach people, connect with people. So not knowing how to do that, it just kind of happened because once I got diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was 33 at the time, and I continued working at my job, and I just had this epiphany one day, and I said, if I keep doing this, if I keep having no passion, no love for what I'm doing, I'm going to die. And that's not a way to live. And I got up from my desk and I just I gave my notice I wasn't working for someone. I had my own real estate firm. So I actually gave my notice and like my lease to cancel the lease. And I just said, whatever ramifications, I'll take it, whatever. And very wonderful about it. And I just walked away. I didn't have another option for a job at that point. I just knew I couldn't do this.
That must have been so. Okay, so tell me about that time, because that had been scary. Were you going through breast cancer treatments at this time too?
At that time, you're first just finding out you have your surgery. It happens pretty quickly. So you have to make these decisions very fast. Like, okay, am I doing mastectomies? Am I doing chemo? Am I doing radiation? So you're deciding that. So I've had my surgery at this point, going to be starting radiation. And that's when that hit me. And I just said, okay, no more, which I also did not discuss that with my then husband.
Okay.
Which has its own ramifications. It's like remodel your whole life without someone else.
Yeah.
When it's kind of a life or death situation, you do some interesting decisions. So
you have to make the decision for yourself. You have to. I mean, that's it. It's a must. And you know what? And I commend you for that because you had to. I mean, if you hadn't, who knows where you'd be.
I believe that because I already was having tremendous pain in my body. Stress is a killer. Stress tightens your muscles, tightens your body. So like now I know where there's tightness, there's weakness, then there's pain. So I didn't know that. I just knew there was so much tightness in my body and I was having so much pain. And the realization was not scary. It's so liberating when you almost feel like the shackles are gone and you feel like, and because it was more like a family. My family was involved in all of this. And my dad was very much always praising me for what a good job I was doing in my real estate world. And wow, look what you're doing. And then my husband, he was a contractor at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
We're not married anymore.
How'd your family take it?
Oh, awful. So career-wise, money's everything in my family. No, I laugh about it. And you have to have perspective, because
yes,
I had to be strong, because I have not, gotten praise from my family. And then you had to learn that part, like, well, you got to do your life without looking for praise or, encouragement from your family. You got to do what you need to do.
So, and learn how to praise yourself too.
You got to love yourself. Yeah. And if I wasn't loving myself, well, who's really going to love me anyways?
Right.
So I'm not trying to paint my parents as unsupportive completely, but they were shocked, that I'd make a decision like that. But at the same time, they gave me a free pass. They go, okay, well, you're going through this. You'll come back. You'll come back to your senses. I think I heard. You'll come back to your senses.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think this isn't a sometimes. I think this is an always for me. So I imagine for a lot of people, once you cross a line, there is no going back. You can't go back to once you realize something is dysfunctional.
Yes. Yes,
so
I agree.
So then, it's just serendipitous, because I was driving home and I saw a sign that said osteoporosis for Pilates, or Pilates for osteoporosis. Sorry, backwards. And I go, I think I need to go in there, because I was just diagnosed as well. It was like quite a health scare. I was diagnosed with hyperparathyroidism at the same time. So that means that my bones I'm already going into osteoporosis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and I'm going now to the chiropractor all the time, because my back is constantly hurting. And he tells me, have you heard of Pilates? So, no, I never heard of Pilates. I don't know what Pilates is. And then I see this sign. I have no idea what it means. And it was like a beacon of light. I just drove in, and then I met, her name is Chris Shevlin, and she's with Chris Shevlin Physical Therapy. And I walked in, and the minute I met her, I just knew like, this is it. I don't know what it was with the equipment, because I don't know if people that are listening, if you know what Pilates is, there's some pretty interesting equipment that you use. So I didn't know what it was. I just knew that's where I needed to be.
Amazing.
So she started training me, and my back pain that I had sciatica for about 5 years, which is laughable now, because I'm like, really? That's like pretty easy to fix. And I had that for 5 years and was on painkillers, trying to numb myself out, trying to not feel this pain. And I saw her for 3 weeks maybe, and it was gone completely.
Wow. That's amazing. Because sciatica pain is no joke. I mean, that is real hard. I mean, I know I've experienced it myself and had to go through things, many things. So that's amazing in a few weeks.
Yeah. And it was, with Pilates, it was Pilates fused with physical therapy, which there's breath is everything in Pilates, and learning how to breathe properly. I was reverse breathing. If reverse breathing is when your belly actually goes in when you're inhaling, which is kind of complicated to hear. I don't even want to kind of put that out there, because you want your belly to go out when you inhale. Exhale, belly goes in. And so, like, if you put your hand on your abdomen, if you notice what you're doing, if it's going the wrong direction, you're actually not supporting your spine. The muscles that wrap around to support the spine are not functioning in a healthy way. So you're actually contributing to the vertebrae starting to shear.
Wow. I mean, so Pilates is probably incredibly important for everybody, because, let's say people that are sitting behind a computer.
Yeah.
Probably a very, very important thing to be counteracting that type of effect, I would imagine.
Absolutely. And posture is everything. It's not like just doing the exercises for an hour perfectly, 2 days a week or something. It's really about what you take from the learning of the exercises and the way you engage in the world. So that's the functional movement. How do you get in and out of your car? How are you picking your shoes up off the ground? How do you lift your child up? These things, or, gardening is a dangerous place too, to really notice what you're doing. And you talked on how many people have back issues. There's a joke that a client told me. I'm in Sacramento area where I was working for a while. So we have the state capitol here. And one of my clients said, oh, she works in politics. And she says, oh, their joke is if you don't know someone, you say, oh, hi. Oh, I wanted to see how is your back doing? Because 90% of people have back problems. And it's funny, it's a good lead in, like, oh, how is your back doing?
Yeah, that's a great one.
How kind of you to remember. And you're like, oh, everyone's got back problems.
Put that in my back pocket.
I know. I'm like, what was your name again?
Yeah. So you found this transformation happening for you, and within a few weeks, it helps your sciatica, and you decide you loved it. And you decided to keep going. And how did you become an instructor?
Well, I worked with Chris Shevlin, and I was just, feeling so wonderful, moving my body and learning all of this. I got to the point where I was like, any gift anyone gives me, write a check to her, because my insurance only took me so far. And I was working with her probably about 6 months, going 2-3 times a week. And because I had started then my radiation. And so we were then working through my radiation. So then we're looking at now the back things, my low back's resolved. Okay. But now we have all this scar tissue in the chest wall from radiation.
Now, did you find it help? So did you find it helps you through your radiation?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's
interesting.
So then me and Chris, we start developing a program, because she hadn't really, of course she's seen breast cancer people, but I was really reaching out to even where I was getting treatment at Sutter and saying, I need movement, I need range of motion and things like this. And no one was really having any programs. This was quite a while ago. Now there are things in place, but at that time there really wasn't anything. So Chris, who, she's a Columbia graduate, master, she's brilliant, but didn't really have that focus with breast cancer. So I was kind of the guinea pig. Okay. And we're like, well, can you do this? How does this feel? Does that restore the nerve conduction? Because when you have radiation and you have breast cancer, you can have different surgeries. You can have lymph nodes removed, which can cause lymphedema. You can have nerves disconnected. You have the breast tissue gone if you have mastectomies, bilateral mastectomies, or then you start to rebuild. There's a lot of different procedures that can lead to a lot of tightness, and that needs a lot of release. And to do that without heavy weights, because that can cause the lymphedema, especially so soon after surgery. So lymphedema is if you've ever noticed when people fill up with fluid. Yeah. If you've ever noticed that, they'll have legs or arms. So that's the lymphatic system is its own very fascinating system, but that might be a little bit out there right now to talk about, but that's also
really interesting. Yeah.
But I love the lymphatic system. I actually went back to all these, I continued education in the lymphatic system, because just to learn about that, how to get that to work properly, how to get those fluids to move. So
Pilates does help you with that as well.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And the breath is key. So breath with movement. There is no Pilates without breath. So it's always breath with movement. And so it's a tendency people hold their breath when there's something challenging. So how do you move through the breath when you're focused on something, or say you're scared? How do you that your whole body changes? If you're frightened, we hold our breath. Well, our brains are no longer working. Our whole body is not connected. So the key is to add the breath, so we get this whole body engagement. And then our parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, which then facilitates the lymphatic system. They're all working together in a perfect symbiotic relationship. And again, stress is going to kick the sympathetic nervous system up, and that's going to cut down the lymphatic flow. It's going to raise your stress hormones. It's going to, cortisol levels are going up. All of these things are happening, negative things. Inflammation, everyone hears about inflammation. How do I get inflammation down? Well, don't stress, which is possible. So Pilates helps with with stress too.
That's amazing, honestly, because I've taken Pilates in the past and I've loved it. I really enjoyed it. And I know it's good for you. I've talked about, in fact, I've been talking about, I need to go back to Pilates. I need to do more of that. But I was just like, oh, because I just know it's good for me. But you're making me feel like I have to do Pilates. Like I didn't realize the level of benefit that it gives you. So this is fascinating. So you're learning all of this. It's helping you as you go through this process. Did you decide that you wanted to do this for yourself during that time?
So then I'm working with Chris, and she says to me one day, Christina, I taught you everything I know. I taught you all the exercises. You can do all of this. And would you like a job? And it wasn't like I had any intention. I mean, this has been a while. I'm still not working, because I'm like, this is the way I kind of lead my life now. When I don't know, just stop what you're doing. Just stop. Don't push, just stop. And so I wasn't working at this point. And thank goodness I did have savings. And my, it was working out still. And so I wasn't really stressed about it. And then it just seemed like such a flow. Oh, do you need a job? Yeah, that would be lovely. Let's do that, without any plan. And then she helped me and she said, why don't you go to Balance Body? Well, Balance Body is who makes all the Pilates equipment, the reformers and things like this. And fortunately they're local. And so this was in 2007. So they had just started their program for training Pilates instructors. And I was so fortunate to get her name is Nora St. John. And she is the premier Pilates person who has been she's taken this since 1984.
Oh, wow.
Pilates. Yeah. So she was with the group in the Bay Area and they were the ones that, I just fell into this without really knowing like, oh, this is the person to see. And
and you got to learn from the best.
I got to learn from the best. And I was not an in shape person. I was still tight. Yes, I could do a lot of stuff, but it doesn't mean I was doing it great. And trust me, the people that show up for Pilates instructors, they're dancers. They're awesome. They can do things. And I just sit there with my jaw open and I'm like, okay, I'll try to get to scratch, and but the thing is, that's funny is that I go, but I'm here to learn. I always said, I'm here to learn. That's why I'm here. I'm here to learn. And the funny part is I have yet to this day ever worked with an amazing dancer that can do all these things. I mean, I work with some dancers, but I'm just saying, I've never worked with anyone that could do the things that were in my Pilates instruction. Yeah. I meet regular people who are just like me, who had injuries and had pain and tightness. And that's really the population.
Yes. And that's what
people are injured and have issues, even if they say they don't. I mean, there's pelvic floor dysfunction, after postpartum, there's all kinds of issues there that per se you're not injured, but you're incontinent. Well, how do I fix that? How do I help my body strengthen and stretch to make those muscles healthy? So I am no longer leaky. Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. My girlfriend has, just because in her job, she has to lean over often. And the doctor actually sent her to Pilates and said, this will help make a difference. So I actually think it was the physical therapist that sent her to Pilates. But
that's happening more and more. I'm hearing that more and more. And this is what has been such a great transition, because originally when Pilates was developed by Joe Pilates, he started, backtrack. We're talking like he's from Germany and he was interned during the First World War.
Okay.
So he was interned in England. So he worked with people like that were also interned with injuries, and he was developing exercises at that time. Then he worked as an orderly in the Isle of Man, and he converted these beds with the bed springs into what's called like the Cadillac and these reformers. He developed this equipment out of bed springs, and he was rehabilitating his fellow people because now he was an orderly at that point. And so it's just kind of interesting. It's using your breath with movement and resistance, and the whole body then is engaged.
Wonderful.
So it is different than yoga, because people ask, oh, is it like yoga? And if I give the fast answer, because I'm like, yeah, it's like yoga.
But it's not. Yeah.
Sure.
It has some of the benefits. I mean, there's a lot of the benefits are similar and whatnot. It's like would you say they're like from the same family? They're cousins, maybe?
Yeah. And the thing is I love yoga, and I'm not putting yoga down because I absolutely love yoga. There's so much relaxation and benefit. But where it differs with Pilates is every movement, there's a stretch component and a strengthen component. So every movement has a resistance and then a release. And this is quite lovely when you do this slowly with concentration, with precision, with breath. It just creates this very flowing feeling. And actually, every exercise becomes a flow. And I say, like, people always go, am I doing it right? I'm like, well, it's like an onion. You're not doing it with a flow is the end goal. Like you're doing it correctly, but you're not doing it like with the flow. So it's just peeling that onion, getting it a little more each time. And I find when people quit asking me, am I doing it right? They know they're doing it right because it just feels amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, and you don't have to ask me. If you're asking me, no, but you do it. You got to do it wrong for a little bit to learn how to do it right or to do it better.
Isn't that true of everything, right? You know,
I find the metaphors everywhere, and don't resist things, don't resist, flow, add the breath, breathe, stop when it hurts.
That should be a simple one, but it's not. It's just not. So no, that's amazing. So what happened to make you decide to go on your own and open up your own studio?
Well, COVID. I've thought this for a while because I ended up where I live now is about half hour from where I used to work, which was in East Sac in Sacramento. And that's where I used to live. So I could walk to work or ride my bike, and everyone would talk about the commute. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I never hit any traffic, So then I moved, a half hour away, and it became a longer drive. So I started having these visions of, I'd love to move everything home, and I want to do videos, and I want to do like classes online. I didn't even know about Zoom. I just saw that. And I'm, as you saw when we were trying to get online, I was having trouble with my mic and all that. I am not a techie person, and I've had to learn, like most of us during COVID, to do all this. And I just knew that I wanted to move in that direction, but I just didn't know how. So COVID just pushed it over the edge. Well, we're going. I mean, I stayed at the physical therapy center until they closed. And she retired because, she was, it was just, a lot of people, same thing. Yeah. She closed. And I was with her for 15 years, and I never worked anywhere else. And I'm hireable to go work for someone, but I didn't want to. And I wasn't working for Chris. I was paying rent later. So we already worked that out. I was always self-employed my whole life. That's all I ever know. So I like to take vacations when I take vacations. Granted, there's always
give and take, but I feel you.
You don't get paid when you're on. You can pick when you want to go. So it wasn't a big transition for me to then say, I'm just going to move it at home. And at first I went on my deck outside because it was COVID and we had to be outside. And then progressing with it, and I moved everything. So now I'm doing the Zoom classes, and now I get to do focus more. So I like this, like a focus. So like, for example, on every Friday is building bone density.
Oh, nice.
So, which all Pilates exercises build bone density, but this is a new term in marketing that I didn't really understand. If you give it a title, people show up from that. Instead of just calling it Pilates class.
It's very true.
And I don't know this. It was by default.
That's so funny. It is like these little like psychological things, right? That just for some reason make a big difference with us. And I mean, it's very interesting.
I know. And that's, and I'm fine with it. I want people to understand that they're building their bone density, and we focus on it. And then I tell them why we're doing this exercise and why that helps with building bone density. So, and then I'll have other classes like healing your pelvic floor, so it's just when I have the focuses, it seems like it's more interesting for me too, because you're trying to cast a wider net for people.
Well, I like to know why I'm doing things too. I just,
yes, I find that people really do, that they want to be told where I'm feeling it, why I'm feeling that, and what's the point? What's the big picture? What's the
exactly.
bigger picture? Why are we doing this? And sometimes, like, we'll be doing like a lunge, and I'm listing off 10 reasons why you're doing this. There's so many reasons, or we could just pick one and focus on that. But it's
So
good to know, and it actually motivates you to do it on your own.
Yes,
Because
it does.
Consistency is the biggest recipe. It's like, I tell people, you don't have to come to me 3 times a week. If you come to me once a week or once a month, whatever you want to do, or if you do the Zoom 2 times a week, once a week, it doesn't really matter. It's what you do when you're not with me. It's consistently every day, 10 minutes, just every day, 10 minutes. It can change your life. I mean, it really can. And I believe it because I've walked it. And whenever I do have something that flares up, and I swear, it's like, I can't even believe I do this every time. I'll do some Pilates exercises or something. I'm like, oh my God, this really works. I'm glad I do this. I'm not selling something I don't believe in, because it really does work. And there have been, and I don't want to say it's a magic for everything, because I had an accident with I had a head trauma. So my neck has some serious stuff in it, and Pilates was not good for that for quite some time. So it took me a while to work through that and to figure out how to do exercises safely. So that was a whole another can of worms. But in the end, now I'm like, nope, I have to do my exercises, or I'm going to start. And this is what I tell people, you end up being a cashew. So we do this, right? And if we're doing exercises anti-cashew. And like you had said about your friend who had to go, she was recommended Pilates by her PT because she's rounding over her desk. Well, think what that's doing to your spine. Think what it's doing to your organs to have everything compressed like that, instead of just stacking. So basically our pelvis here is neutral, and we're on top of our sit bones. And then we just stack our spines right over that. And it doesn't take any musculature to really do that. We don't have to be engaging. We're just stacking effortlessly. If we're going the other way, then we're actually straining, and we're shortening the pelvic floor. There's a lot of issues that go on, shortening muscles, which then lead to pain.
Oh, my posture has never been better in a podcast before, I'm sure.
Because you can see yourself, right?
And just talking about it just makes me straighten up a little bit.
I have an old, she's not my neighbor anymore, but she still sees me, and she used to tell me, when I look at your house, I used to straighten up because I thought you were looking at me or something. I'm like, I wasn't looking at you, but I'm glad it worked.
You need those little reminders. They work really well. So, you've done a lot. I love this story. What I'm curious about is, what do you feel has been, one of your greatest successes in life, and why, and what did you learn from it?
Greatest successes, I think, it's how you measure success,
exactly. Which is one of my questions too. What is your definition of success?
Yeah, because I feel happiness and joy is enjoying doing what you're doing is the greatest gift you can give yourself and others. And now I'm not saying I wake up every day and go, oh, I want to teach today. No, I'm like, I don't want to hear people complain about their stuff. No, of course. But whenever I get started, whenever I start working with someone, I get energized. I get excited. I feel passionate about what I'm doing. And I feel like I'm helping people. And that's I feel the greatest success. The hard part, and what I touched on earlier, is not caring what other people say. Because yes, granted, my dad still says you are not living up to your potential. Things like that. It's not.
But that's his definition.
Yeah, his definition is money. So in that level, sure. But I always have enough. I always seem to get by. I can always ramp up business. I can always raise rates. I never really felt, oh, I'm poor over this. And I don't know. I just feel like it's your own definition. And I just can't do a job where I feel I have to, I can do sales. I think I do it okay. but I don't want to do it for the sake of just making money. I want to do it to help someone, to help them in some way, to fulfill them as well.
Let me ask you this. How would you compare your life when you were in the real estate game, making a lot of money, but not feeling fulfilled, compared to doing what you're doing now, where you feel very fulfilled?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like more in control of my life. I mean, more in control is probably the wrong word, more embodied in my life.
Yeah.
I'm more an active participant. And I don't look for distractions. I don't look for alcohol or pain pills or, not saying I was having a major issue with that, but that was definitely a go-to. If I had pain, I would say, oh, I need a beer. Or maybe I need 2 beers. Now I'm like, oh, I need a good meditation. Yeah. I need a good stretch. I need to go on a walk. I have better tools. I have better tools in my tool bag. And all of those things are going to give you mental health that are going to make you feel better. So I just think better choices. It's just better choices, better life to be in this world now.
Completely agree. and just asking the question made me want to giggle because really, I mean, what's a life that's unfulfilled?
And especially, and you're fresh blood, like after 40, it's like, I'm approaching 50. It's like, well, gosh, if I'm not going to have a good time or enjoy it, what's the point?
What's the point?
What's the point? It's like, and if I'm starting to get stressed, I mean, now I've learned just stop. If I'm getting stressed, I'm not doing it right. Something's going on,
I always like to ask the flip side of the question, what your greatest difficulty was and how you got it through it and what you learned. You did share about your breast cancer. Was that your greatest difficulty? Did you have other things that you've had to go through? I mean, how do you feel?
You know what I feel? I mean, because we touched on my neck issue. That was the most challenging thing I've gone through during this period. I mean, even more than the breast cancer, because it's strange. I mean, I went on a rope swing and I hit the tree and went unconscious in the water. But but it happened a long time ago. So it wasn't like recent, right? So I've always had neck issues, I find this with all my clients, what you did when you're 17, you will see when you're older, if you don't do anything about it. Yeah. Then I had some dental work where they pulled too hard. Well, I already had a neck issue and the vertebrae is just, they're totally messed up. I mean, I'm at fusion. They can't even repair it. And so, and I'm not trying to say don't do surgery. I feel I am definitely not going to say that. There's knee replacements, so successful, shoulder surgeries. There's so many surgeries that are successful. I have not seen neck surgeries that are successful. That's just been my experience. And that's just, low back stuff. I just haven't, I think exercise has always helped more. But then I think the true test was that the Pilates wasn't working with me for my neck. And it took me like 2 years to come back, and I lost full ability of using my tricep on my left arm. So this is my side where I had, I've already had all the surgeries. I've already had radiation. So there's other things going on. I think it's just kind of like a saga. I always tell people it's not just one thing that leads to an injury. You have to have like this whole story. So it started when I was 17 with the rope swing incident. And then you go into the dental stuff. Then you go into all the surgeries and radiation. And then you do something wrong. I was moving my parents' garbage can and it just snapped. And I was like, everything's gone. So I had to take a break for a while. And then I had to have people help me move equipment. And I had to have my clients do more things. I couldn't do it. And I have rehab back from that. I did not do surgery. And I was in so much pain. And I've had pain. I've never had so much pain. And it's like nothing I've ever felt. And I remember just laying in bed going, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to live my life this way.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
And the thing is that it just gives me more compassion for my clients. And I can tell you, I believe it. Give it time, give it healing, give it movement, relax. It's going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you think it's going to be, it's not going to stay that way. The body is amazing. It has amazing abilities to heal itself. Take care of it.
Yes. And you need to believe that too. So it's great that message is important. What helped you get through that? Because I mean, that must have been very difficult for you. What helped you get through those challenges?
Yeah. I mean, reading
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. Mhm.
The Power of Kindness. This was a book that I was reading. Power of Love. There was that too. It's like all of these things about how to love yourself. I mean, just healing, trying to meditate and trying to go in and find that strength. But I was really challenged. I mean, I'd have to say that was more challenging, and I wasn't going to die from it. And because when I had my breast cancer and they said at my age, they're like, yeah, the probability that, I mean, they weren't totally negative because I was still early enough stage,
Yeah.
but they were like, yeah, you're not going to live that long. You're way too young for this to have happened. And I never had a reoccurrence. And exercise, just on another note, exercise decreases your rate of cancer by 25%, which is, there's even studies that are even showing higher levels. So even walking 3 times a week for 40 minutes, it doesn't have to be Pilates. Do walking, do some brisk walking.
Does dancing count?
Absolutely. I think, have you seen that video with Dick Van Dyke? Did you see this at Valentine's Day?
No.
He's like 96 years old and he's got a wife that's, I think, 46 years younger than him, but he is just dancing and he's like moving around, and the way he moves his body, it's because he's danced his whole life. I mean, we've grown up.
Love it.
And it's like, and I think that's a recipe for health. Keep dancing. Jane Fonda's really dancing. I mean, if you've seen her lately, she's phenomenal.
Oh, I love it. I actually I wasn't aware of those statistics about exercise with cancer. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's huge. So, and there's so many benefits. So it's not like, oh, I have to run a marathon or I need to take up running or these really high impact things. Walk, just walk, or I need to spend all this money on Pilates. Walking is amazing for building bone density. It's wonderful for your body. It's wonderful for your mind, wonderful for your cardiovascular system. Yeah. So movement is life. You have to just be consistent. I mean, that's my biggest message. I always tell people, if people say, oh, I'm not going to do Pilates anymore, if they say, I'm like, that's fine. Stick with your home exercises and be sure you walk. We just want to make sure that you keep moving, because it's just so beneficial. I think I got off topic. Where was I going with?
We were talking about difficulties and overcoming them, and what helped get you through, and that kind of thing.
The book helped me, and all of that. And you are tested sometimes. And it was really all the things I believed with my whole heart weren't working. And I think it tested my faith in everything. And I am so happy that I came through on the other side.
Yes.
So
yes. Well, that sounds like it was very difficult.
Yeah.
I know you've shared multiple difficulties in your life, different times. I'm wondering if you have any best advice that you would give someone who might be struggling to either find the right path, find the right next opportunity, or is just stuck right now. Is there anything that you found has really helped you, or you think that might help other people?
Meditation is absolutely key. And people go, I don't know how to meditate. And I hear you, because that's the hardest thing. Meditation is just focus on your breathing. And that is the most important thing. If you meditate, if you can calm your mind, it will make a huge difference in your life. Or any activities that you love to do that create meditation. Like my husband now that I'm remarried to, he is out cycling all the time. And he never meditates. He's too busy for that. He's not going to do that. But when he's on his bike, I swear he goes to a different state of mind, and he always comes back with the greatest ideas and the greatest thoughts. So it's, again, always coming back to the same thing. Keep it simple. Do what you love. It will come to you. And it doesn't mean you have to turn what you love. I know you hear that a lot. Turn what you love into your business. Well, do what you love and see if you can clear your mind and to see a path forward for yourself into something that gives you joy. And don't let the negative person show up or don't ask too much advice either.
Yeah.
Because, everyone has an opinion, and it doesn't mean it's right for you. If you really feel passionate about web design, well, practice with your friends. Like, hey, can I design a web page for you? I mean, I know when I just did my Pilates training, that's why I picked up my neighbor, who's still my client every week. And it's like, I was free. I was like, hey, anyone want to come? I'll work with you. I'm new.
Yes.
I'm new. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm free. And you just get experience, and you have to take that stance. And there was a book that, a lot of people know this book, Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. She's the vulnerability.
I love Brene Brown. I have not read Daring Greatly. So is this a book you would suggest?
And it's not a new book, but it's been around. And she talks about daring greatly. Theodore Roosevelt made this speech about how you get into the arena, and how, it's the dirt and it's the dust, and you're in the ground. And this is the person who is daring greatly. It's not the person on the sidelines criticizing you and telling you can't do it. You're the one in the arena with blood, sweat all over you. And it is kind of gory to think, but you're the one that, you have to do and I don't want to use fight, but you have to be able to be vulnerable enough to show up for yourself.
Yes.
And there people are going to say you can't do it, and you just have to not hear it. And sometimes I do hear it, and then I just go, no, put it away. And sometimes you do need to hear, well, maybe that isn't a bright idea to do it like that. Or maybe they have a good idea, but I think following yourself and dropping into yourself and into your own heart, you have the answer. You don't need to be looking outside yourself as much as you are to find. So true. That's what I would say is my biggest advice.
Really good advice, because we're all looking at everywhere outside of us. And we're not all, but a large percentage of people.
Yeah, and we do it all the time. I mean, we look for, it also in Brene Brown, this was a good one. She had the scarcity. So we have like the scarcity, like I'm not enough. Yeah. I'm not enough. Why would anyone want to listen to me about web design or, why, so you wake up in the morning, I didn't get enough sleep. I don't have enough money. So we can get in this trap of not enough. What's the reverse of just telling yourself I am enough and I am good enough? And I see that person doing it and they're not amazing and they're doing great. They're rocking it. So why can't I do that? Yes. So how do you reverse it? And I think that is a challenge.
And it's an important challenge.
Yeah.
It's practice is what it is. It's bringing awareness to it and practice. And every day reversing until it becomes a little more natural until all of a sudden there you are.
And I think that's 100% right. And I think that's the same with Pilates. It's like you practice these exercises. First, you're like, I don't get how to do this. What? I can't do this. And then give it a little time. Why did I ever think this was hard? So it's the same concept. Yeah. Why did I think this was such a hard decision? Yeah. But you have to take the money out of it. I mean, you have to in a way, because then you're just going to, if money gives you happiness, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, like my dad,
that's your definition.
My dad loves, anything to do with money, stocks, whatever. That stresses me out. But if you like it, go for it. But if you're only trying to pursue money without joy, I think that's going to be a very shallow, empty feeling inside yourself.
Completely.
And how do you live wholehearted, whole body, where you really are? And it's not clean, it's messy. And like the daring greatly, like you're in the arena, you're messy, you're dirty, you're in it, you're vulnerable, you're putting yourself out there. It's not necessarily safe, but it's life. It's invigorating.
It is. And I don't mean to go back, but I'm just curious, and it's just in the back of my head. Cause you mentioned your new husband and you mentioned your ex-husband. Did you go through a divorce during the time when we were going through cancer treatments too?
So everything blew up
all at once.
Everything. No. So it took time, like everything it disintegrated. So my ex-husband never forgave me that I walked away from my job. We actually worked together. He's a contractor,
Mm-hmm.
and we were remodeling houses and flipping them and doing that. And he blamed me.
Wow.
He blamed me. And I mean, there's obviously other issues, and it takes two.
Yeah.
I did just make a decision without him, not trying to.
Well, you were fighting for your life, and you had to make it. I mean, honestly, that's the decision that people need to make. That's the big change. And that is the golden thread through these stories, is that if people don't make that change for themselves, something happens, something bad happens, shakes it all up, and then that change happens. And it makes everything better, happier, more vibrant and alive and fulfilled. It's like where they were supposed to be, they finally get to.
Yeah,
So
100%. I mean, I totally agree. It's like, do you want to do this the easy way or the hard way? You're going to get there one way or the other, with or without your permission, So yeah, I mean, I think that is it. And that's like leaving a marriage. That was really hard to make that decision. You have a house, you have a life,
Mm-hmm.
you have all of these things. And you're making those decisions because you are stepping into that arena. Mm-hmm. I felt I deserved to be loved for who I was, not for what I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is a huge thing. We all want to be loved and accepted, right? Mm-hmm. But when you finally realize someone is loving me first for what I do, mm-hmm. and how I make money, that means I'm not living wholehearted. I am not living this authentic life that I have now walked into for my mm-hmm. work. So I was already working for several years. I mean, it took a bit. It took about 5 years for it to completely fall apart, mm-hmm. and do the move on. And now who I'm married to now, mm-hmm. is, I knew he was out there. I knew this person was out there. And I am so happy that I took that leap. And that was, you never know, 50-50. You could be alone for the rest of your life and that's fine too. You could mm-hmm. be alone, but I really wanted to be in partnership with someone. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be in a relationship with someone who loved me for who I was, and to embrace and help support that. Yes. That was something I needed to fulfill. And
I commend you for it. Yes.
But I have many friends who are single, and I commend that too.
I commend you for leaving the relationship that you're unhappy in, and opening yourself up to a better option, whether that be alone or with someone else. You were opening yourself up to a better option for you, one that meant something to you. And I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And I think this is no different than choosing a career path. It's all scary. It's mm-hmm. all scary. There's no it's all you're on the edge of the cliff. Are you gonna jump?
And you can't see. You don't know. Yeah.
But you know when something's not working. If something's mm-hmm. not working, stop. Stop and regroup. Do what gives you joy. And come into yourself. Again, I know I keep repeating that because I cannot express, because I now look at injuries as energy. So what we trap in our heart, if I maybe didn't know on a conscious level that I was probably in a conditional marriage, mm-hmm. and my heart, no shock that I am getting a tumor in my heart center. Mm-hmm. There is some blockage. I'm not saying that's the only reason why you have issues with pain, but I can tell you that love does heal a lot, and stress causes a lot. And so I do look at, when someone says, oh, my back went out. I don't know why my back went out. I go, well, what are you stressing about? Well, nothing really. And then there's a story about, well, my in-laws were staying with me. I'm like, well, there you go. There has to be not just, there's a physical component. There's something that you've done, but there is a stress component, an emotional component happening.
It kind of blew my mind there. I'm not gonna lie. My severe back pain that I went through a number of years ago was directly following a highly, highly emotional event. So that's very interesting.
Absolutely. You can get into and this is where I love yoga. This is where I've tried to infuse yoga into the Pilates, because that energy work, if you think anything in your low back, this is family. This is security. This is financial. So if you're having issues financially, family, things mm-hmm. like that, no surprise, low back issues.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's, and I've had people, I try not to make people cry anymore, but that was something that I didn't mean to, but kind of see it and you say it, and then someone just goes, oh my God, that is exactly what's going on. And it's just being in connection with another person. You talk about it. What's going on in your life? And we stuff so much down.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good. And women, especially the mother, you have to be a perfect mother. You have to be the perfect worker, and you're perfect. And it's just too much, sometimes just do the best you can and leave it. Or you don't even do a great job. Just, hey, this is it. This is all I got today. Yeah. And I think that's more authentic and more genuine than,
I agree.
Than pushing, because in the end, you're like what you said, it's going to hurt you in the end. Like you keep stuffing it down. Your world's going to have to stop now. Now you got breast cancer. Well, that's going to really put a hole in all your plans. You really a lot going on for about a year, and your family, is taking second fiddle to that, So yeah, it's important to listen. It's important to listen, and time is not permanent, Do what you need to do and share what you can do, and how small it is. That's what I say. I mean, it's like, I think we all look for, what's my gift? I have to find out my gift. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not a genius. I don't have a photographic memory. I don't know. I just like writing classes and teaching classes. I don't know why, it feels like I'm connected when I do that. So find those things that you feel connected while you do it.
And you make all the difference when you do.
And you make all the difference. You help someone. You never know how much you help someone by something you just think is so easy. Like, well, what's the big deal?
Isn't that the best way to help people too?
Hey, you don't even know. When you try,
it's so easy.
When you try and they don't thank you, you're like, damn, I tried so much. No, don't try. Just be.
I love it. I have so enjoyed this. And I'm wishing that I was close to where you live so I can come hire you. Are you taking new clients?
I'm not taking any face-to-face clients right now because I'm full, but I'm doing the online classes. So my Zoom classes. We're on Tuesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Those are the live ones. And then I have videos too. And then I have my different themes. So Friday's always the building bone density. Tuesday's class, I change it up. So it's always Pilates, but the marketing.
But it's great. It's online. So anyone could go to your website and sign up for your classes and be a part of them.
Yes.
So I'll put it in the show notes, but what is your website?
CoreEnergyPilates.com. That's the name of my company, CoreEnergyPilates.com. And then my email's there and my phone number. Love to chat if anyone has questions too, because it can be confusing, and what you can do, and you want to do things safely. You don't want to hurt yourself. I like I said, I came from a physical therapy background, so I know people have a lot of significant injuries out there, and you do need to be careful. You can't just show up and go and be with a bunch of 20-year-olds after a knee replacement, or it's not a good idea. You need to, or my hip's really bothering me, I'm going to go be with these 20-year-olds and overstretch. Not a good idea. You could really hurt yourself. So always get your doctor's permission and figure out safety first.
Be smart.
Be smart. Yeah.
Well, my last question, just because I like the answer. What are you sure of in life?
Oh no. That was what? Nothing. I don't even know how to wake up every morning. I'm always like, I woke up. Yay. Sure, I know this is a terrible answer, but I'm sure I'm going to eat lunch always. I never miss a meal. So that's the only thing I know. When I wake up, I'm going to eat.
Well, that's a good thing. Oh, thank you so much, Christina. This has been wonderful. I really enjoyed our talk and I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed this podcast, and thanks for having me.
I loved learning about Christina's story. There was so much richness to learn here. Christina grew up in a family that owned their own real estate business, a generational family business that Christina was a part of. She grew her career in that family industry. By all outward appearances, one would think Christina was living the ultimate successful life, working in a successful family business, making excellent money, married to a partner in the same industry, flipping houses on the side. These are all the trappings of what society or family might tell you success looks like. But was this what success looked like to Christina? How many of us fall into this trap? Are you living your personal definition of success? Or are you living someone else's? Christina was living someone else's definition, and she was highly stressed. She was not fully happy with what she was doing. She was making great money, but this was not her passion. It was not filling her up. At the end of the day, Christina was established, but she was left feeling empty. And she did not know how to fix that unfulfilled feeling. Then, out of nowhere, Christina is told that she has breast cancer. She's 33 years old, being told as young as she is that this is not a good prognosis for overall life years. News such as this brings a clarity into life as to what you do and do not want. What if you received news such as this? How would you feel about your life and how you've been living it? What changes would you make? If anything is coming up, I might suggest that you think about making those changes now. Do not wait for the crisis to hit. Christina had continued to work after her cancer diagnosis, but one day, as she sat there, she had an epiphany. She finally asked herself, why am I doing this? Why am I working on something that I have no passion for? Why am I working so hard on something that I have no desire for, especially when I might die? She decided in that moment, no more. She got up and walked out that day. She had no other job lined up, no other prospects, no idea of what she might do. She just knew she was no longer doing things that she did not want to do. Now, Christina made this decision for herself in that moment. She made a choice and she did not look back. This choice, it did have an impact on her husband. She had not discussed it with him. This ended up having negative ramifications for the relationship, but from what it sounds like to me, this was the very best outcome for Christina. Now, while I am a big fan of discussing big decisions in a relationship, this decision of Christina's, the one she made for herself in that moment, I stand up and applaud. All kinds of yes to this decision. She had to make this decision. The fulfillment of your soul is your responsibility, no one else's. You cannot allow others' needs to keep you from finding what makes your soul sing. You must ask yourself, what do you need? Not what is best for my partner, not what is best for my family, not what is best for my friends. What is best for me? That is the direction you must move. That is the direction where you will embody your best self. You know what you need. You owe it to yourself to listen to your own internal voice. And anyone who really loves you, they will want that for you. Christina shared that she did not get praise for her decision. Her family thought that she had lost her senses, but for her, it was the opposite. Christina had finally found her senses. She was ready to try on the life that felt right instead of just looking right. In an act of serendipity, Christina found a Pilates studio on her way home, and through Pilates, Christina found a path of healing, both physically and emotionally. She had found the place in life that she was meant to be. Christina spent months working with this Pilates instructor, getting stronger, learning to feel amazing in her body, learning everything she could about Pilates, until one day, her teacher turned to her and said, "I've taught you everything I can. Would you be interested in a job?" And once again, we learn the power of positive suggestion. With one sentence, the view of possibility in Christina's life shifted, and another new door opened. What positive suggestion have you gifted into someone else's life? Our words have so much power. I encourage us all to look for ways to compliment and lift others up. Now, I love what Christina shared here when she was asked if she wanted a job. This was something she wasn't sure about. She hadn't thought about it. So at first, she didn't know. And as Christina shared, when she does not know something, she stops. She breathes. She thinks and reflects, and she spends time finding that knowing before making a decision. Really great life advice overall. Anytime you are faced with a decision that you don't know, give yourself permission to stop. Take the space to reflect and think everything over before making a decision and moving forward. Christina moved forward with Pilates, and she found herself in an amazing opportunity for training. I really appreciated that Christina shared how some of the people in her group were intimidating, coming in with their crazy Pilates skills or dance skills, and she would compare herself, thinking that while she could do it, she couldn't do it as great. Now, this was Christina's little imposter syndrome coming out to rear its ugly head. We all have that stinking imposter inside of us, and the imposter's best friend is comparison to others. Every time you compare yourself to others, you are giving your power to someone else. Whatever anyone else is doing, it has no bearing on you. The only person to compare yourself to is who you were the day before, which is what Christina did. She reminded herself that she was there to learn. And that is the truth of life. We are all here to learn. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you are there to learn. And life is teaching always. Christina had been working at Closed Down, and this was an incredibly scary time for so many people. Christina had two choices. She could bemoan the pandemic, complain about the unfairness, rail against the government for shutting things down and making a mess of everything, or she could focus in on what she could control, herself, and come up with a plan that aligned with her future goals. Christina chose to focus on what she could control. She had thought about starting her own studio, so that is what she did. She created her home studio. She developed and produced video programs, and she started doing online classes for her clientele. And let's be clear, Christina did not know how to create video programs. She had no experience with teaching virtually or the software involved, but she learned, and anyone can learn anything in this day and age, and that is what Christina went out and did. She educated herself and up-leveled her career with a perfectly timed pivot, setting herself up for continued success. And I love that Christina is developing programs appealing to our psychological need to know why we are doing something. Getting in touch with your why around any activity is a huge key to success. Knowing why you're doing what it is that you are doing will keep you going through the tough times, through the pain, through the trials and tribulations. Being in touch with your why is one of the greatest secrets to perseverance. So why are you doing what it is that you are doing? Do you know why you work where you work? Do you know why you chose your current profession? Why do you do what you do day in and day out? Getting in touch with that will make your own difficult times that much easier to push through. Now, I loved Christina's definition of success and the fact that she is fully living that definition. For Christina, success is finding joy in what you are doing every day. This is truly the greatest gift you can give yourself and others. To find that joy in your day-to-day life. Her work energizes her. She gets excited and passionate about what she is doing. She finds fulfillment in helping others. She has everything she needs. Christina loves her life and loves what she does. She's an active participant in creating and embodying her best life. Regardless of what anyone has to say, including Christina's father, Christina is winning. She is no longer reacting to her life. She is creating her life. I really hope you can say the same. And when Christina finds that she is no longer enjoying something, if she finds that she is getting stressed, she will stop. She will evaluate. Because if she is not enjoying it, then what's the point? If she's not enjoying it, something is wrong and she needs to stop, figure it out, and make an adjustment. And this, my friends, is a winning recipe for life. Do not stay in your stuck. Do not make the mistake of thinking that this is life. Life is about joy, not pain. So stop and evaluate and make the better choice for you. Better choices equals a better life. And as Christina said, the better choices need to be the right choices for you. What is right for you won't always be what is right for others. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. But the only opinion that matters is yours. Take Christina's advice and do not give your energy or power to others, for whoever has your ear has your life. As Christina shared, ignore those negative people, ignore the critics, and do not let their toxic judgment in. As Brene Brown shares, your soul is your light. Your light is a precious and gorgeous thing. It is your light. You need to surround yourself with people who, when your light is shining bright, do not feel the need to blow it out. We all know those people in life. No longer give them the power. Christina mentioned the speech by Teddy Roosevelt about people who try to tear you down. And here's a great quote from that speech that she referenced. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcomings, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, but who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat. Teddy Roosevelt, 1910. Let us all aim to be the person in the arena, daring greatly to be the author of our own story and creating the greatest version of ourselves that we wish to be true. Follow your own heart and stop looking outside of you for your influence. I want to talk about another important message from Christina, the message around scarcity in the language we use with ourselves. We have this scarcity mindset. It's natural human mindset that we all share. You are not special in your negativity. Your negative voice is not there because it is right. It is there because it is normal. The scarcity mindset saved your life thousands of years ago, but life is different now and our brains have yet to catch up. So it is up to you to train your brain, and your brain is absolutely trainable. Your brain has neuroplasticity, which means it is adjustable, it is adaptable. Your brain is constantly learning and growing. People are walking around and they're talking to themselves in the very worst ways. People are saying things to themselves like, why would anyone listen to me? Why would anyone want me? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm a mess, and everyone else has it together. That person is doing it, and I'll never be as good. I don't have enough money. I'll never make enough money. I'll never amount to anything. While these thoughts are normal, they are also deeply wrong. You owe it to yourself to change the narrative. What would life be like if you were to believe the opposite? What if every time you had a negative thought, you brought awareness to it without judgment and simply replaced that thought with its exact opposite? I am enough. I am worthy. I am a work of art in progress and constantly learning. I meet my own needs. That person is doing it. Why can't I? Why can't I? Why not me? I can be anyone I want to be. If not now, when? What would it feel like to walk through life knowing that you are enough just as you are? That you are worthy of every single one of your dreams? How would you move through life differently? You can get there. It's a challenge, but an incredibly important one. Bring awareness to your thinking. Practice flipping your thoughts daily. In this practice, it does feel hard when you start, but the more you do it, the easier it will become until slowly that negative voice will become the supportive one that you have deserved all along. Stop being the biggest asshole in your own life. You owe it to yourself to be your own internal best friend. You can meet your needs yourself. Finally, I want to leave you with a final thought from Christina. Release that internal pressure of trying to be perfect. There is no perfect. Stop trying to be the perfect parent or the perfect wife or the perfect friend or the most perfect person in the room. The pressure is just too much. Embrace all of your parts. Be the real you. Share all of your angles, and you will find deeper, more authentic, and more fulfilling connections being developed. When you stop judging and putting pressure on yourself, you will find that you stop judging and putting pressure on others, and your entire world will feel freer. So this is my wish for us all, that you remember that it is your imperfections that make you perfect, that you will embrace the messy work of art that you are, and that you wholeheartedly share all of your scattered pieces, giving others permission to do the same. Until next time. Thank you for joining us on Fresh Blood. Please subscribe and follow us on all streaming services, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Player FM. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Fresh Blood Podcast. I would love your help in spreading these stories and important messages. Please give us a like and share with a friend. Your help is greatly appreciated. I hope you make today a most fulfilling day.